Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, February 17th, 2023. And welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live coming to you from Damon, the agent, where I bring you the latest real estate talks and updates. And I also like to give a little peace of mind of my little personal opinion. So today, first of all, let me say happy birthday to my favorite basketball player of all time, Michael Jordan. I know many of you all, no family reunion, Craig. I'm not there this year, but many of you who play basketball or who've been into basketball, y'all know Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world. Today is his birthday, so I just want to acknowledge him. So let me begin with my topic. Now, today's topic is going to be about the importance of a realtor. And the reason why I'm bringing this topic up is because in the past couple of days, I've had conversations with lenders. I've had conversations with first-time home buyers, and it has really been brought to my attention that sometimes, even though people may feel as though they can go on the internet and go to Zillow, go to Redfin, they watch HGTV, people feel like they're really educated on real estate to the point where some people feel as though that they don't need a realtor, and it ends up costing them thousands of dollars, or it ends up costing them losing a house, or it ends up costing them being sued in a transaction. And that's because people don't understand, as realtors, we have to take law as well as taking up everything else to know about real estate. And we have to also be updated every 2 years with the latest continuous education for a reason. For those people who have bought a house, there are a lot of paperwork involved when you're writing up a contract. It's not like HGTV where you go on there and you just sign one piece of paper. There are a lot of addendums. There are a lot of forms that are being signed on top of the contract. And one thing about the contract that it says that this is a legally binding contract between the seller and the buyer. And even though it says that, people don't seem to understand the importance of that. Now, let me explain something. When you are buying a house or you are selling a house, it is always best to get your own realtor. Because for those people who like to surf on the internet, and then when they surf on the internet, they see a house and then they say, oh, I'm just going to contact that agent. What you have to keep in mind and take into consideration is that agent that you're contacting is representing the seller. And that means that they're going to have the seller's best interest. They can do things like maybe show you the house. They can even write a contract for you, but they're not going to be in your best interest. It is always best to have your own representation in any real estate transaction. And it is for to save you time, money, and to give you the best possible advice, and also to negotiate on your behalf. Like I mentioned, I was talking to a lender, and during our conversation, the lender had explained to me that it was a situation going on where the buyers were supposed to go to settlement like a few days before. They didn't go to settlement because for some reason there was a previous buyer who was actually suing the sellers because they had put a contract on the property, and they thought that they were going to get the property, but then that particular agent had clearly said that they did not meet the deadline. So let me explain things about a contract. First of all, when you write an offer on a contract, it's supposed to be explained to you, and you're supposed to be educated on the entire process of purchasing a home. First of all, a contract, when you sign it, and if it is accepted by the seller, you have to understand that time is of the essence. And what I mean by that, meaning there are dates put on a contract for a reason. The reason is, though, sellers like to plan when they're going to move out of a home. Buyers like to plan on when they're going to move into a home. These things have to be coordinated correctly. That's part of the reason a date is always put on a contract. So if you sign a contract today, which is February the 17th, and you'd say, oh, I'm going to go to settlement in 30 days, because lenders would typically go to settlement anywhere between 21 to 30 days when you deal with most mortgage brokers. If you deal with banks, Banks tend to want to go to settlement anywhere between 30 to 60 days. It is always contingent upon who you are using for financing that's going to determine how soon you can actually go to settlement. So a lot of times the realtors are in conversations with the lender to see how soon a buyer can go to settlement, because in most cases, buyers would like to go to settlement as quickly as they can or at the beginning of the next month, depending on how soon they're looking to move. But that's always, again, about the conversation. So again, like I'm mentioning, time is always of the essence. So you put the date on it, February 17th. You may put 30 days, which may be March the 18th or 19th, because we only have 28 days in this month. But so long story short, let's put March the 18th. So when March the 18th comes, that is the proposed settlement date. Now understand, in the contract, it will always say on or before March the 18th. On or before. If for any reason that date needs to be extended, you are supposed to always include and write an addendum. An addendum is an additional form that changes and alters the original contract. And this is something that should normally be explained. You always have to extend it in writing. The one thing about real estate is everything has to be in writing. Or is he say, she say? And trust me, people get amnesia. They forget what they said. Like sometimes you can go into a house, when you're looking at a house, the seller can say, oh yeah, you can keep the extra freezer. Oh yeah, you want to keep the couch? You can keep the couch. And then you go to settlement, you go do your walkthrough, the extra freezer and the couch is gone. And then you say, oh, the seller said that. And they'll be a seller and say, oh, I never said that. So you have to put everything in writing in real estate, because unfortunately, in this world, people are not always honest, and people really do forget things. And then people sometimes have selective amnesia. So you have to make sure that when you're dealing with people, that in real estate, everything has to be in writing. Please remember that. Again, when it pertains to settlement date, if it's going to be extended, you need to always write that up. We can't make it on March the 18th. We need to extend it to March the 31st. You put that in writing. And the reason why you put it in writing is because when March the 18th comes, if you do not make the date of March the 18th, there are normally ramifications of what can happen to the buyer, and there are ramifications for the sellers too. And let me explain them. For example, the buyers, if you do not make the proposed settlement date, sellers can say, well, you didn't make the date. So then you move forward, the buyer move on trying to get another property, or let's say they can't move forward for any reason because their financing fell through, and then now they want their earnest money deposit back. Now sellers sometimes will request that earnest money deposit because sellers feel like that they could have had another buyer to purchase their home, but because they chose your contract, they missed out on the opportunity. Therefore, it may cost them money. So because of that, they want to take your money. And that's one thing that sometimes buyers do not understand. Now, I had in the previous past on some of these podcasts, I've explained what the EMD is, which is the earnest money deposit. The earnest money deposit is when you initially write the offer, you include your approval letter to show how much you've been approved for, to make sure that you can cover the cost of the home. But you also include a deposit because that makes sure that you have some stick in the game. And the reason why is because if you don't include a deposit, then you really can walk away and there's no consequences for you, but then there's the seller missing out on a potential another buyer. So you have to put some money down. And then at the same time, that earnest money deposit that you put down, you do get credit for it towards your down payment and or your closing costs. But that also is always explained to you by your lender, and it's also explained to you by a realtor like myself, because I like to always educate my clients to make sure that they fully understand everything when it pertains to purchasing a home. So let me go back to the importance of a realtor. A realtor will explain things from the very beginning. Like I said, that conversation with that lender, that buyer did not have representation. They actually went with the seller's agent who listed the house. And then what ended up happening is when settlement date came, they didn't go to settlement. They couldn't understand why. And that's because the selling agent wrote the contract for them, but never represented them. And like I explained to the agent, like I explained to the lender, that I'm sure that the selling agent has some knowledge of what was going on. And they didn't inform them because they were probably hoping that, that it basically, was still going to go to settlement. But unfortunately, the buyers are still stuck in a hotel, not knowing when the settlement is going to go because there's arbitration going on with the previous offer. This is part of the reason why you need to have your own representation to guide you so that realtors can ask the appropriate questions. Because I was asking the lender a lot of questions and he was like, I don't know. I have to go back and ask. I was like, okay, well, when is one of the seller and the other officer supposed to go to court? He was like, I don't know. I said, okay, well, why is the previous buyer suing him? He was like, I don't know. I said, okay, well, see, this is part of the reason why you need to have good representation, because good representation will save you thousands of dollars and everything. So he's supposed to be looking for the information to get that. And then he said he was going to get back and let me know. But at the same time, it's not my client. But because I've been around for a while, me and this lender, we have good conversations. So he wanted to know my opinion. And I explained to him, the importance of that buyer having his own representation. Now, when it pertains to the steps of a contract, for example, when a new buyer comes to me, like I had a lady this morning, she's been looking for a home on her own on the internet for a while. And I asked her, and this is the thing, she had reached out to me last year. And when I reached back out, she kept saying, oh, I'm busy. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I'm sorry. So I reached out to her early this week. And she was like, yeah, I'm still looking for a home. So when I held the conversation with her this morning, she was basically saying, oh, I'm still looking. And I'm like, where are you looking? And she was telling me these websites. And I was like, well, some of those websites are not in real time. Like, for example, Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin. A lot of these a lot of these websites are not in real time. They put homes on the website, and they always put the homes that get the most traffic, the ones that look the best, because they want people to review and be on their website. That's why sometimes when you speak to a realtor like myself, and then I look up the home in the MLS system, and I'll be like, oh, that house sold 6 months ago. Or I may say that house is not even on the market. You understand what I'm saying? Because it might have sold in 2001, but it might have got a lot of traffic on the website. So some of these websites that people are going to, they're not in real time. The real-time websites is always going to come directly from a realtor. And the reason why is we as real estate agent, we pay to have access to the MLS. Understand, every house that you see on the market comes from a realtor. It is a realtor who has put it in the MLS system. And what happens is Zillow, Realtor.com, all these other websites, they pull from the MLS where we, the realtors, enter the homes. Like, for example, if I put your home on the market today, it's going to syndicate to over 30 other websites. That's what's going to happen. It's going to go on Zillow Real Estate. It's going to go to Zillow. It's going to go to Realtor.com. It's going to go to Homes.com. It's going to go to HUD.com. It's going to go to all of these websites. So then if you're on, let's say, Zillow.com, what happens is you see that home, but you don't understand I'm the one that put it on the market, because Zillow has a little platform in which they have other agents pay them to be advertised on other homes in certain zip codes. So you may think those agents are the listing agents when in fact they're not. And to be honest with you, I don't even like Zillow for that reason. They've called me before when I've had over 10 listings and tried to charge me to advertise on their website next to the homes that I entered into the system, because they have a brokerage deal with the MLS and all the boards throughout the whole country. And that's how they do it. But the most up-to-date information that you will ever get is going to come directly from a local realtor, because we are the local media. A lot of times what you see being reported is not the most updated information. So I even know a situation where there's a young lady and I was referred to her. I got her approved. We went out to see a house, and one day she made an offer on a property that she really liked. So we went under contract. When we go to settlement, she tells me about a co-worker of hers who has been on, who at first told her she didn't need a realtor. This is what her co-worker said. You don't need a real estate agent. You can do it yourself. All you got to do is go on the websites, and you can use the other realtors, which you're going to get no representation. So, and it doesn't even make any sense because you're really not paying the buyer's agent realtor, because most of the time the selling agent is paying them. But nevertheless, he said, oh, you can use the other agent. So in over a year, he had 3 houses under contract and he never went to settlement on any of them. And she went to contract in less than a week and went to settlement in less than a month by having a realtor like myself. So what I'm saying to you is, when it pertains to local real estate, understand the importance of a realtor, because first of all, we educate you on the contract. We educate you on the process. We educate you because there are legally laws involved in a transaction. That is why people get sued all the time, because they don't understand. They think it's just that simple. Like, oh, I see a house for sale. Let me go over there. I like it. Let me make an offer. It's not always that simple. Please believe that that everything you see on TV or the internet is not real. You got all these people out there saying that you can get rich, you can do this, you can do that, and everything. Everybody's saying that you can do this, but then on top of that, they're charging you a high fee to get this information. They're charging you $1,000, $1,500, $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 to get this information, and then they're not going to guarantee your success. See, the only thing is guaranteed is you paying them. Understand that. You paying them is the only guarantee. The success is not going to be guaranteed. So I'm just saying that you have to really be educated on the process. So again, like I said, a realtor is going to explain the process to you. Time is of the essence. The moment you make an offer, the moment it's an offer is accepted. Dates are in the contract. The reason why time is of the essence, because most lenders, like I've mentioned before, they go to settlement in 21 to 30 days. In that 21 or 30 days, you have to do things such as get a home inspection. The reason why you have to get a home inspection is because you want to know what type of house you are inheriting. And the reason why I say that is because last year and the year before, when there was multiple offers everywhere, people were making offers on property. They were waiving their contingencies. They were waiving their home inspection contingencies. They were waiving their appraisal contingency. I did not advise any of my clients to waive any of their contingency. The reason why is this. Let's say hypothetically you inherit a house that has electrical problems and it costs you over $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Sometimes people, buyers, after they spent money on down payment and closing costs, they don't have that extra money to get all those repaired. And it becomes frustrating. And I never want my clients to be in a situation where they're actually house poor, because you have to understand that people sometimes buy houses and they end up house poor because they, overextend their means. They sometimes are not advised properly. And that's another thing. Once you get your home inspection, you have to see what comes back on that report. What is minor and what is major? Because you have to understand the minor things you can take care of. The major things, that's always up for negotiation. A lot of times you will ask the seller to do things. Sometimes sellers will do things. Sometimes sellers will give you a credit for the things that come up on a home inspection. It just really depends on what the issues are. But you still need to know and understand what you are inheriting, because with some people, if there are so many issues going on with the house, they don't want to accept the house. They want to go on and move on and try to find another house. It's just like if you go out on a date and you realize you're dealing with a person who got so many internal issues going on. Let's say hypothetically, they say, oh, I got a bad heart. I got a bad liver. You know what I'm saying? My right leg, my knees are working. I can barely walk. My back hurt. I got headaches every day. You sitting there on that date, you're going to think twice about whether or not you want to go on another date or whether you want to even continue with this person. Now, unfortunately, that's life. It happens. But some people don't want to deal with that headache. So I'm just saying the same thing goes for a house. So after you do the home inspection, okay, if the buyer and the seller can agree on the terms of the home inspection, the next thing that's being done is the appraisal. Then the appraisal is the value of the home. You want to make sure that the house is actually worth what you have offered for the property. Let's say the house was listed for $500,000 and you made an offer for $500,000. You want to make sure that the house is worth $500,000. But here's the thing. The lender want to make sure also that the house is worth $500,000. Let's say the house comes back appraised at $425,000. That's a $75,000 difference. Now there's another terms of negotiation going on, because here's the thing. Sellers are going to are going to be disappointed. Hold on, my house was listed for $500,000. Appraisal came in at $425,000, and then in some cases, depending on the terms of the contract, the buyer has asked for closing costs. So now the sellers is looking at their net, how much they're going to take home now. But now the appraisal has thrown everything off. So now negotiation comes again, because the buyer has to send over an addendum. They still have to send over an addendum. And this is what's normally explained from the realtor to the buyer. You have to send an addendum saying that I want to purchase the house at the appraised value. You send an addendum over with a copy of the appraisal so that the sellers can see that you're not just asking for it, you're providing proof. Sometimes sellers will accept it. Sometimes they won't. And if they don't accept it, the problem with sellers is, now if they don't accept that appraisal, and they want the buyers to pay the difference, and the buyer said, no, I'm not going to pay the difference, they have to end up putting it back on the market, and then they have to accept the offer, but they cannot accept another offer with the same loan product that just had an appraisal. Let's say it was a conventional loan, and that conventional loan appraisal came in at $425,000. They can't accept another conventional loan at $425,000. The reason being is, though, once an appraisal is on a house, it is stamped to that address with that loan product for 6 months. So they cannot accept another conventional loan for after 6 months. So in the 6-month period, they have to accept all the other ones. So a lot of times sellers depending on what market we're in, will lose out. So a lot of times it's best for them to accept it, but you have some sellers who will say, oh, no, I'm not accepting it. And then in some cases, they won't accept it. I've seen a situation where they didn't accept it with a conventional. FHA came around, made an offer, gave them closer to what they wanted, and they accepted that. So things can happen, but here's the thing. You have to be educated on a process, because there are several processes. And let's say hypothetically, once you do the appraisal, if the appraisal comes in at $500,000, you have completed your home inspection, you have completed your appraisal. Now you have to finish the loan, being approved for the loan. Understand the lenders who are providing and financing the loan for you, there's a due process that they have to go through. They have to submit everything to an underwriting, and the underwriting are the people who accept or reject your loan. So when they're submitting things to underwriting, let's say hypothetically you had withdraw $8,000, or you purchased got a new credit card, and you ran up and got furniture for your house. Guess what? That's a red flag for the underwriters. So now there are questions that are going to be asked to the buyer. So a lot of times us agents tell buyers, do not purchase anything until after at least 30 days after you bought a home. The reason why we say this, don't purchase a new car, don't go get a new credit card, don't purchase furniture, don't purchase anything. See, we try to educate you all on this process because we know how detrimental it will be with you wanting to buy a house. There have been plenty of people who've been approved for a home, went out there, purchased a new car while trying to get a new home, turned around, was unable to be fully approved for the home because their debt to income ratio has changed. Now the underwriters reject the whole file and no one approves them. So that's the other process. Once you go through the approval process with the underwriters, then you're waiting for the clear to close. Once you get the clear to close from the underwriters, you're ready to go to settlement. So if you have that March 18th date on the contract, the only thing you have to do is 1 to 3 days prior to settlement is to go do your final walkthrough. The final walkthrough, like I mentioned before, is you go in there, making sure that the house is in the same condition as it was when you made the offer. Again, like I mentioned about the freezer and furniture, if that was agreed upon between the seller and the buyer and it was in the addendum, you're making sure that those things are there too. But here's the thing though. You have to do the final walkthrough because there have been situations when people want to do the final walkthrough and the refrigerator or the appliances or the washer and dryer has been missing. So you always want to do a final walkthrough when you are actually purchasing a home. So there are several steps involved, and I gave you a majority of them. And then it's just the day of settlement. You know what I'm saying? Coordinating what is the best time for the sellers to sign. Now, because the buyers always choose, or 95% of the time choose the title company, they always choose what time they can sign. Sellers can always sign before the buyers, but buyers can't get the key until they go to settlement, sign the documentation, and the money from the lender, the people who approved, the underwriters who approved the loan, has been wired over to the title company. Once that has happened, you go to settlement, you get your keys, you can take your pictures, and then after settlement, you go to your new home. But the importance of a real estate agent is explaining all these things to a buyer. It's also saving you thousands of dollars, because sometimes people think they're saving money by not using a realtor, when you actually end up spending more money throughout the whole transaction, because a lot of people do not know how to negotiate when it pertains to writing contracts. A lot of people don't know what they can and cannot leverage. So a lot of times a realtor can do these things for you. They can basically break it down. They can speak to the other realtors and stuff. They can say, oh, we're going to do this. We're not going to do this. Letting you know what you can and cannot do. Because again, some people tend to think, oh, I watch HGTV, so I can do this. But understand this. See, another thing that people don't understand is, even when they go on websites like Zillow or whatever, that information that's given to you on Zillow is limited information. That is the reason why it's not in real time. Because why will realtors pay a quarterly fee to the MLS only to provide you with all the information that we got to pay for? It's not going to happen. You have free and limited information. You do not have all the information we see. That's why sometimes I've had clients who've sent me homes, and when they sent me homes, I looked at them and I can see things that they can't see. So I'll say, oh, well, did you know that this property was da 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 da? And they was like, no, I don't see that. I said, yeah, you're not going to see that, because see, here's the thing: when we enter the information into the MLS, let's say if I list your house and I enter to the MLS, there are 3 boxes on there for us. One says public. That's what y'all see on all those websites. Another one says agents. Another one said agent's office. These are the things that agents see in their office. So we can put little things in there like, that you all are not going to see. It's only exclusive for the agents. But some people don't even realize that. But I'm breaking it down to make sure that you'll understand that having the right realtor will save you thousands of dollars. Just like when I spoke with that lender earlier this week, and they're going through this whole situation. There are things that could have been avoided and things that could have been asked to assure that these buyers could have either got this house or moved on. But now, like I said, it's costing the buyers more money because they're in a hotel. They were supposed to go to settlement, I think, on Monday, and they're in a hotel. They don't know when they're going to go to settlement, if they're even going to go to settlement now. So there are ramifications and stuff. People like to take shortcuts. And when they take shortcuts, they think they're always outsmarting or they're saving. And that's not always the case. You know what I'm saying? Some things are worth being paid for. Having a peace of mind is priceless. That's what people have to understand when it pertains to not just real estate, but when it pertains to life. Having a peace of mind is priceless. You can't pay for a peace of mind. There are people out here every day going crazy, losing their mind, losing money. They don't have a peace of mind. A peace of mind is priceless. That's why you pay for convenience. Like when you order food from DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub, and they charge that convenience fee. The convenience is what you're paying for. You didn't go there and stand in line, drive to, stand in line to wait for the food. You're paying for convenience. The same thing applies in life and when it pertains to certain services. When it pertains to real estate services, you're paying for convenience, peace of mind, and to make sure that you don't be sued. Because again, like I said with that lender, now the sellers are being sued by that buyer. And if they were properly educated, going back to that buyer and that seller, they wouldn't be being sued. But sometimes they're being sued because they're not properly educated and they're not being told what they can and cannot do. So again, understand the importance of having a realtor, because a realtor will save you time, money, headaches, and stress in majority of your cases. No realtor out here is perfect. Nobody's out here perfect, but in majority of the cases, you best believe you are saving time, money, and things that you're not even know. That's just like on your job. People can't come on in and do your job the way that you do it. They don't know all the ins and outs. They don't know all the information. They may know some of it, but they don't know all of it. And that's the same thing that applies when it pertains to real estate. So I just want you all to understand, always hire a realtor. If you're a seller, you already have a realtor. If you are a buyer, you're going into open houses and you don't have a realtor, get a realtor. It's going to save you time and money. Trust me. We're very important. We get educated all the time. We are actually like a lawyer for you all, and you all don't even know it. A lot of times when I'm dealing with transactions for my clients, a lot of times they don't even understand. Behind closed doors, I'm batting for them, and I'm explaining and talking to other people on their behalf, and they don't even know it. They may find out about it later on. That's just like the last settlement I had a couple of days ago when my client, she wrote what she wrote. If you go on Google review, I think she wrote it on Facebook too. I do that all the time with majority of my clients, because in the transaction, it's not as simple as people may think. So I just want you all to understand that aspect, that realtors are very important and that you'll need to always use one. Now, in very few cases, studies have shown that over 89% of people who do not use a realtor end up spending more than they would have if they would have used a realtor. 89%. That means only 11%. 11% is failing on any grade scale. 11% is failing. And how often are you going to be part of the 11%? A lot of you ain't smart enough to, you know what I'm saying, like, do simple things. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people, not you, but I'm just saying a lot of people, period, are not smart enough to do simple things or to figure out certain things, So getting and hiring a realtor will be the best thing if you're trying to sell or buy a house. Even some sellers who try to sell their house, which we call them for sale by owners, they think they can do it. They'll pay a little fee to advertise on Zillow, and they'll think, you know what I'm saying? But then if a contract come in, they don't know any legal things that they should do. They don't know where stuff they don't understand. I'm telling you, people, and this is what I've realized in life. A lot of times we as human beings think that we are saving money, but we're actually losing money. You think you're saving money, like for sale by owners who choose to sell their home, and I'm not going to pay a commission, or I'm going to save me some money. And a lot of those for sale by owners end up getting sued. And they end up paying way more by being sued, by hiring a lawyer. And then in cases that they lost, then they would have just paid the realtor. And they don't even understand it. And a lot of them don't even know what they do, to the point where they lose money. So they lost money. They lost way more money than if they just would have hired a realtor. The same thing applies with a buyer. You understand? Hiring a buyer's agent, it's probably going to cost you nothing, a couple of $100, if that. If that. It just really depends. You all have to understand. You understand that you get free representation. I just had one of my clients post on social media yesterday that and it didn't cost her anything to hire me. To be honest with you, the listing aid, the seller paid, but I even covered expenses for her, unforeseen expenses that she couldn't cover. I covered for her. You know why? Because I try to treat everybody like I would want to be treated. If I was in her situation and I didn't have the means, I would want somebody to do it for me. So what I'm saying to you is, don't assume that you always have to pay just because you're getting with like a realtor. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're human just like you. I know a lady in my office, and she's dealing with a young couple right now, and she gave them a couple of $100 to pay back their home inspection and everything. You know what I'm saying? We're human just like you all. So please don't think that you're always going to be spending. We want to help people. We're in the helping industry. We're trying to help you. It's not always a cost associated, but sometimes people don't talk. And when you don't share what's going on with you, people don't know what's going on with you. That's why they always say a closed mouth don't get fed, because a closed mouth doesn't get fed, you know. But I hope you all got the point on that. I'm going to come back on my topic. Beware of haters. Give me 1 second. All right, just had to speak to my Instagram family real quick. But yes, now that I done talked about the importance of a realtor, I wanted to talk on this topic of beware of haters. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because it was brought to my attention about a new realtor in my office, and she's working and she's trying to she's trying to do her thing in real estate, and she's on her job, and people are hating on her and saying things to her. And it reminded me of when I first got into real estate. When I first got into real estate, which was nearly 18 years ago, I remember I used to work at Metro. You know what I'm saying? I'm no longer at Metro. I haven't been at Metro since 2008. But I remember when I first worked at Metro, I used to work in the Treasury Department. And I remember I was getting into real estate, and I remember my phone used to ring a lot, but I couldn't answer because I was working. But we would always have a break, 15-minute break in the morning, 15-minute break in the afternoon. And I remember one time getting on my break and coming back. I got in my car, started talking on the phone. Even when I got in my car, sometimes I wasn't even doing real estate. I sometimes was talking. At the time, I was in a relationship. I was talking to my lady at the time. So then I remember coming in one time, and the supervisor said, "You cannot do business on Metro's property." And I looked at her. I said, "Who said I was doing business?" She said, "Well, somebody said that you was doing business on Metro property." So I said to her, "Tell them to mind their business, for one. Number two, I'm in my car. My car. So the area in my car is mine. If it is my 15-minute break, if I'm talking to the president himself, what difference does it matter? Because that 15-minute break is my time. I'm not being clocked. I'm not being paid during that time." But what it did for me is it opened my eyes to haters, because I heard rumors from those same people who were saying, "Oh, he ain't gonna sell no houses. He not gonna sell one house. He not gonna sell a house. Look at the way he is," and stuff like that. That's what they were saying. They were saying, they felt like I was a little I think a little hood. They thought that I was a little what I'm saying, that I didn't know what I was talking about. These are the things that you hear people say. See, what I've realized in life, people are always going to try to put their limitations on you. Because even when I was getting into real estate, I remember my father, and God rest his soul, I remember he had said to me, "Damon, why would you start working at Metro and FedEx when you got them good benefits?" Them good benefits. That was what was said, right? So this is what I said to my father. I said, "Dad, so you're talking about benefit. How much is those benefits worth to me?" He's like, "I don't know, about 50,000. I said, "Okay, let's say 50,000. I said, "But if I can make 500,000 to pay for my own benefits, which one weighs more?" And he ain't say nothing, right? Because this is what I realized, like the era before me with him. A lot of times when they came out of segregation and they got jobs and they got benefits, yes, that was the goal and everything. But see, it was a different breed and it was a different time for me, because with the way I looked at things was I was limited when I worked at Metro, how much I made. See, I worked in the Treasury Department. I wasn't a bus operator. I wasn't a train operator. Those people easily made over 6 figures a year because they worked all these hours and they were always there. You know what I'm saying? But we in the Treasury Department, I ain't make that much money. At the time, I was struggling. See, this is what people don't understand. I was struggling. I had custody of my daughter. I got her when she was 4 years old. I think she was 6 or 7 years old at the time. I was struggling. I was working 2 jobs. I was being lied on in a relationship that I was in. So I remember after all the deductions they took out of my check, and I tell you, no lie, people, I had $80 to my name. When they took all the deductions, when they took the child support, when they took my car payment, I had $80 to my name on a check. Imagine you getting a check every week with $80. And I had to provide a roof over my head and more. What was I going to do with that? So when I'm hearing these people talk negative about me, and when I'm not getting no support from my family, when I'm hearing people saying, "Oh, you can't do this," you gotta look at yourself sometime and realize in life that the more it's meant for you to succeed, the more haters that are gonna come your way. See, haters come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. Sometimes haters come in the form of your spouse, because when I was with my spouse then, she told me I wasn't going to sell one house, even though she did hair for a living. But she told me I wasn't going to sell one house. She didn't see me selling the house because there were thousands of real estate agents. And I'm like, there are thousands of hairdressers, but I ain't saying you ain't going to do no hair. And I also told her, and I share this with you. I told her, I said, not you or one human being could tell me how high that I'm going to fly with my wings. Only God can tell me that. And then I realized that haters are everywhere. They come in the form of co-workers. They come in the form of family. They come in the form of your spouse and everything. And then somebody told me you need at least 7 haters to realize that you're doing something right. You need at least 7 haters to realize that you're on the right path in your life. Because see, we have a lot of people have this crab in the barrel mentality to where the point they don't want to see you do well, or they don't want to see you do better than them. That's why sometimes when you grow up and then you go beyond the neighborhood that you grew up in and you go back and you see people that you know, and the first thing they want to do is ask you for some money. Oh, I see you doing well. You got some money. Give me some money. You understand? I mean, I remember I go back in my neighborhood and I see family always asking, begging for money, you know, and I just look at them. And then sometimes it makes you think, it makes those think like, well, what's going on to the point where I'm looking to do better? Then I realized that everything that goes on in our life is all about our mindset. See, some people have a content mindset of where they are, and others have a mindset that they want to do better than where they are. And sometimes the haters don't want you to do better than where you are because they don't want you to do better than them. That's how it is. They're not happy for you. They're not cheering for you. They're against you. Sometimes they're smiling in your face. Because here's the thing: when I worked at Metro, there were people who were talking to me in my face and then go talk about me to others. They think I ain't know. I used to look at them. I used to look at them, shake my head. And guess what? Then when I quit and did what I did, and then some of them try to congratulate me later, they tell me that they wish me well. But in the back of my mind, I know that they wish me hell. And the thing that I want to say is when it pertains to your life, if you have haters around you, I don't care if they're your coworker, they're your spouse, they're your siblings, they're your family, or people that just don't like you. Understand you're doing something right because haters are going to always come around. Beware of haters and always pay attention to them because of the fact is haters should motivate you. You should want them to see you more. You should want them to hate on you more. You know, it's even written in the Bible. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar, but I remember reading somewhere that said that God will create a table in front of your enemies. And you know why that's there? Because everybody who's blessed, everybody that is meant to be successful, everybody who's meant to do well or to do better than where they are, it's always people around you who don't want you to excel and to move up. Why is that? Because the way I look at it is, if I'm moving up, you're gonna move up. So why wouldn't you want me to move up? I can't understand it. But here's the thing though. It ain't meant for us to understand. It's meant for you to go on and try and strive for the greatness that's within you. Do the best that you can do because nobody can tell you how high you can fly with your wings, and regardless of what you do. Nobody. People are going to not want to help you, not want to support you. They're going to try to make it difficult for you. You know, those are haters. People who want to lie on you, talk about you behind your back. You know, I got family members right now lie on me, talk about me behind my back. I don't say nothing. I just shake my head. You know why? Because I could care less. I hope they keep talking, you know? And that's how you got to carry things with people. Haters are all around us, you know? These same people who hate on you will be the same people who need you in the future one day. People may say, oh, I'll never need them. But here's the thing. We don't never know who we're going to need. We never know that. You never know what you're going to go through. People are doing great today and can do bad tomorrow due to your health, an unforeseen circumstance like your health. If your health deteriorates for unknown reasons, nothing you can do about that. You may need somebody. You might need to get a kidney from a family member, the one that you hate. You don't know. But people will talk like that because of pride. See, we're so prideful as a people that we don't even realize we cut off our nose to spite our face. We hurt ourselves. We ain't hurting nobody else. We hurt ourselves. That's why a lot of times in life, we're not where we want to be or where we should be because of our pride, because of our jealousy and envy, because we don't help others. We hate on others, you know, because the one thing I learned was the more people you help, the more that you're going to be blessed. But people will choose not to help you. They'll watch you drown. You'll be in the water drowning. They're going to pull out their phone and start recording instead of somebody trying to help you. That's how the society is these days. That's how the closest people to you are these days. And that's why sometimes you got to have these conversations with people to see where they at. And when people don't want a whole conversation, you got to categorize them as haters. Because why won't they talk to you? You know, because you're going to expose something, you're going to ask a question or something. Why won't they? So beware of haters, but understand that everyone needs to have at least 7 haters. Start writing a list of your haters down. If you ain't got 7, you got to go get some more. You got to do something more. That means you got to elevate more to get some haters. And then if you do got 7, let's say you got 17, guess what? You're doing good, but you need to strive for 27. You understand what I'm saying? Because the more successful you are in your life and whatever you do, the more hater you're going to have. Because here's another thing. People can see the potential on you. That's why when you walk into a room, people stare at you and then they may mean mug you or glare at you from your toe, from your feet to your head, to your head to your feet, because they see the greatness on you. They see the potential on you. You understand what I'm saying? I saw, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw somebody at the church hating on me. And I'm gonna tell you how I knew they was hating on me. I was standing, and I stand 6'2", 6'3", and they was about 5'3", 5'4". It was a man. He walked past me, looked me up and down. I ain't paying no attention to it. Then I was talking to someone else. Later on, he walked by and did the same thing again. And then I looked at him. Then I saw, and I was staring at him. I was gonna speak. He just looked at me and kind of like, well, rolled his eyes, right? So I was like, geez, is he mad at me because of my height? Because, I mean, God gave me this height. God gave him his height. You know, God gave us every tool we got because he know what we needed and who can handle what the best. That's why he gave us that. If he would have made me 5 feet, he'd probably know it probably wouldn't have worked for me. I probably would have went crazy or did something else. So he made me 6'2", 6'3". And I guess with that guy making him 5'4", he probably knew he can handle it the best. But here's the thing. We are who we are for a reason. We come in all shapes and sizes, just like haters come in all shapes and sizes. And please be aware and please believe that you need to have at least 7 haters. And if you don't think you got any haters in your life, trust and believe me, you do. Everybody does. Even the quietest people got haters. Because people will hate on you for you existing. People will hate on you because you're skinny and they're not, or because you're big and they're not, or because you're because you look good and they're not, because your hair is long and there's not, because you're dark skinned and they're not, because you got brown eyes and they don't, because of any reason. People will hate on you because you have on nice shoes and they don't, because you drive a nice car and they don't, because of whatever reason. Even if you're catching a bus, because you caught an earlier bus than they did, and they were late, because you arrive on time and they're always late, because you eat healthy and they don't, or because you got a cheeseburger and they can't eat one. People will hate on you for the simplest and dumbest things. It's the world we live in. But understand, be aware of who your haters are, because everybody has them. And please believe we all do. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Please be aware of your haters. I'm about to come back with a recap so I can go over today's show. All right, you all. I'm about to go over the recap, but please, before we get off shortly, follow me on all social media platforms. The link is right here at the bottom. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. I'm on all social media platforms. Please follow me. I want to thank you all for joining me today with Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, coming at you real live. So let me do a recap. All right, the recap is the importance of a realtor. Understand a realtor saves you time, money, stress, and effort, and educates you throughout the process so you fully understand what it is that you're getting into. Because what people don't understand is people who choose not to use a realtor end up spending way more money than they would have if they just would have used the realtor. And in some cases, there are legal ramifications if you don't know what you're doing. There are people sued all the time in real estate. There are real estate agents who even sue. And there are buyers and there are sellers who did not go by the agreements in the contract who are also sued. That's just like the example that I gave you all. People are being sued. And I just want to make sure that none of you are sued when you buy a house or you sell a house, that it is just a smooth transaction. And that is what I am here for, just like everyone else. And I talked about beware of haters. Always be aware of haters and understand that we all have haters in our life, but haters are there to make us aware of how great we really are. Without haters, you wouldn't even realize the potential that's on you. You know, it's only when you realize how much people are hating on you that you realize, well, hold on, why are they hating on me? And 9 times out of 10, they're hating on you because it's something about you. It's something about you that they don't like. And a lot of times that with this about you that they don't like is the greatness that's in you. Why else would they hate? You got no reason to hate. We're all created equal. We're all human. We're all created equal until we start opening up our minds and open up our mouths. That's when you see that everyone is not created equal. So I want to thank you again for joining me with Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live. I thank you all for coming to me this Friday, and I'm each and every Friday at 12 noon. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day this week. Enjoy the weekend. NBA All-Star game is coming on this Sunday for the basketball fans. Again, I want to say happy birthday to my basketball icon, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You understand? I'm about to post something on my Facebook with him. So make sure you'll follow me on all my social media platforms. Again, I thank you all. I appreciate you all. And I'll see you all soon.